train? Is that a car? Это твоя машинка? Да, машинка. Бrum, brum. Welcome to today's vlog. Today I am filming a Q&A. I asked you guys to send in some questions on my Instagram about 3 weeks ago, and I got over 100. So I'm gonna try to answer just a few of them. Are you saying hi? Hi. Anyway, so we're gonna try to get right into it. I'm gonna pull up some of the questions. Yeah. Are you gonna help Mama find them? Okay, so your hardest part and favorite part of having twins. I love that I get to experience for their firsts like twice at the same time. So like the first time he crawled, and then I'm waiting for her to crawl, and you kind of experience those very close in time. And so it's like you're just excited for two little humans at the same time and get to feel those emotions like twice, like in a very short amount of time. Like they both kind of did things a month apart from each other. So he started crawling, and then about a month later she did, and then same thing with walking and all of those things. And of course the way they interact with each other, not always do they get along. But Gracie, say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Hi. She has been loving wearing bows lately, and I love this stage because she is so cute. Like, look at this. So cute. Anyways, so that's kind of my favorite part. It's like all of the emotions and the way they interact with each other and love on each other, and even when they fight, it's so funny. What? You want to come back? Are you gonna take it off? No? Yeah, I took it off. Yeah. You want me to put it back on? Nadia's bracelet? There you go. Here. Here. I feel like I'm gonna repeat the same thing like 10,000 times, but yeah. Are you blowing your nose? Are you blowing your nose? Кей носик вытирал? Ты вытирал носик? Да. Continue. Yeah, so just experiencing both worlds at the same time. I get to dress her up, even though I don't as often as I wish I could, because buying two completely different wardrobes can get pretty expensive. So I try to buy like gender neutral most of the time, so they can share, and that way I don't have to buy too much clothes for the both of them. Then just witnessing her personality and how different she is compared to Kane, and like the role that gender actually plays into personality, that has been very interesting to see. And then busting all of the myths. Like everybody always told us that girls do everything first, which in our case has been completely wrong, and it has been the complete opposite. Like Kane always does everything first, and then she'll do things after him. Okay, the next question is talk about their personality differences. Okay, I'm gonna go get Kane because he locked himself out. Okay, so the next question was talk about their personality differences. I feel like I kind of touched base on that. He is very stubborn, like very stubborn, and he will fuss. Are you waving? Are you waving? А ну помахай. Помахай опять. Hi. Good job. Носик вытирать? Good job. Anyway, so stubborn. He's been kind of aggressive lately, so he'll come over and like push her, take her toys away. He gets into trouble. Like I'll tell him no, he'll go do it. I tell him to share, he will not share. I'll tell him to not get into the dog bowl or the plant or flip their little toy kitchen over, he will do it, like on purpose. I'll tell him not to climb on the table, he will do it. Like he is just, he just loves getting into situations and does not listen at all, and just so independent and confident and stubborn, and I don't even know, like those are just kind of the qualities that I noticed. He's very like you can tell he's a boy. Like he's very interested in cars and a little bit of violence, and yeah, can't be tamed. And then she is the sweetest. Sometimes I look at her and the things she does, and I'm like, how did I get so lucky? She, what are you doing? Are you reading? Yeah, good stage. She will pick up toys all on her own without anybody asking. Are you waving again? Are you waving again? I see his hand. Are you waving again? Here, sit. Anyway, she will pick up the toys without no one asking. She'll clean up, and then if like he's just standing there or crying, she'll like come up and like rub him, be like, it's okay. If he comes up and like takes her toys away, sometimes she'll cry and complain. A lot of times, like I've been watching her, she will just let him take it and then just go grab another toy. She avoids conflict. And then she's definitely very much a mama's girl. She likes me to hold her, and she just tries to get onto my hands as much as possible. If I'm cooking, she'll come up and try to like have me pick her up. And if I don't, I have an empty cabinet that I just put their bumbo floor seats on, and she'll like get in there and like point at it and like scream for me to pull it out and put it like on the table and put her there so she could at least see what I'm doing. And then she gets very sassy too, so she'll like come up to him and be like, no, 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 and like sit there and like say things in her own language with like her finger. She is like bossing him around, or at least trying to. You want a book? Oops. Oops, the camera fell. So she definitely has a little bit of attitude, a little bit of sassiness, but what girl doesn't, right? Okay, best. Hey, no. Best recommended products. So for me personally, I didn't get too much things. I got just the basics. I got their stroller, their car seats, I got bassinets, obviously the cribs, and Snuggle Me's, little baby loungers, and like the twinsy pillow. Like those are the main things. Like when your baby's locked himself out again. Anyways, when you have newborn twins, the main things I used were their bassinets. We had the Snoo, Happiest Baby bassinets that like rock them and everything, and that's what we used for the first 7 months. They were great. They were in our bedroom, and then after 7 months we moved them to their rooms, into their own cribs. So those were very helpful and useful for us. And then the Snuggle Me organic loungers were a big hit for us. We used it for over a year. We used it for them to just lounge in during the day, even sleep, like co-sleep with us at night. When they weren't sleeping well, we would put them in that lounger between us. That way there's kind of like a barrier, because they were very tiny. It was kind of scary, especially the first couple months. So we would put them in that, and that way we felt it there, and they would sleep with us in that. And then nap times were in those. Even for bedtime, if they were having a hard time falling asleep and we couldn't transfer them into the crib and they kept just waking up every time we transfer them, we would put them in that lounger, and they kind of felt like we were still holding them, and they were hugged, and they slept fine in those. But yeah, we used those for nap time up until they were like a year and 2 months. So we definitely got our use out of them, and I recommend them to everybody, but everybody's situation is kind of different. I feel like a lot of products lasted us for a very long time because they were preemies and were so tiny, and so they could just fit in them for a lot longer. For other people, that's not the case, and their babies are born the size that mine were at 4 or 5 months. Oh, and then the Twinsy pillow. If you are breastfeeding or bottle feeding, that one is a must. You prop up 2 babies right there. They're supported very well. You give them the bottles, or you put it around yourself for both of them, and you can breastfeed comfortably like that. Definitely need a way wider rocking chair for that than mine, but I still breastfed them in this chair. Without it, I used the Snuggle Me organic feeding pillow. Kind of looks like this, like a half moon. It's really cute, really aesthetic. And I'll just put it around like this, and then lay them in the football position like so, and then feed them and rock them to sleep. And I rocked them to sleep until after they were 1, so that's a whole nother story and how we transitioned out of that. But those are a few, just a few of the bigger products that I personally used for a very long time and enjoyed. Are you waving again? Hi. Also, we had the Uppa Baby stroller. We loved it. It was great. But we, before they turned 1, we upgraded to the Veer Cruiser. It's like a wagon, and we love that thing. If we could go back, we would just get that one. You can get attachments for the car seats, like the infant car seats, and attach them to it and just be just like a stroller. Yeah, we actually really love that one. So if you guys want to go check it out, and it's really good for traveling. It's TSA approved if you're going to the beach or literally anywhere. My husband would just pressure washer it and it would dry overnight and be ready for morning because it would get a lot of sand and snacks and all the things toddler. Anyways, Kane deactivated my phone, so I have to wait until I can use it again and get to the next question. The next question is, did you breastfeed? Tips for weaning if you did. I did breastfeed. I started. She squished her fingers in the cabinet. Anyways, I did breastfeed. I started pretty much exclusively breastfeeding at 4 months and just weaned like 3 weeks ago. It wasn't that hard, at least for me. I just replaced it with a bottle. So every time, like, I started with night feeds. I replaced them all with bottles, so every time they'd wake up for a feed, I just give them a bottle. Luckily, my kids took bottle from the start. Since the NICU, it was kind of a hard transition to breastfeeding actually, and then throughout even my breastfeeding journey, I was still giving them bottles every time I'd leave the house or leave them with somebody. They were fine with bottles. During the day is when they would kind of ask for comfort, and especially Kane, he would get really mad if I would not, and he would like hit me and yell and scream, and I just tried to distract him either with a toy or with another bottle of like water or some kind of juice, and that worked pretty well most times. There were a couple times where I was like, whatever, I'll just keep giving, but that was like every few days or so. I like gave in once, and then to fully wean off, it took about a month, and it's been, I would say it's close to 3 weeks. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks since we breastfed at all. Like at all. I don't have really any tips besides distraction. Distraction is key. And then for us it was bottles as well, which we didn't have a problem with that. I know a lot of moms have a hard time weaning because their child doesn't want to take a bottle, so they really have nothing to replace that with. Yeah, that's kind of my overview on that question. I definitely probably will do a whole separate video on my breastfeeding journey in general, because it was a very long time and there were ups and downs, and they didn't want to do it at first because they were, I mean, 3 pounds, like what do you expect? I'll probably film a separate video just on breastfeeding for all the mamas that are interested in kind of how our journey went. Next question, birth story. I'm gonna do a separate video on the birth story. It was a lot. It was a lot. Do they wake up at night or have a full night sleeping? They wake up at night. They go down at 7. They'll wake up around 11, and then they'll wake up again around 2, and then they'll wake up around 5 to like 6 in the morning, and then they'll wake up around 7 a.m. the rest of the day. So pretty much every 3 hours. Once they go to bed at 7, that first stretch is usually the longest, around 4 hours, sometimes even up to 5, which is really good. But then after that, it's every 3 hours. So pretty much still have a newborn schedule around here, if you were wondering if it gets better. But it does get better. So every time we have 1 pair of shoes, each one gets only 1. Yeah? I don't remember where I left off. These kids are so distracting. Twins 1 month, how do you feed them at the same time? I bottle fed mine at that time, and so I would do 1 at a time, and they would take about 30 minutes to eat each, and then I would have to pump and then go to sleep. I literally would not get over an hour of sleep that first pretty much 4 months. So I'd feed them separately, but then I started feeding them at the same time once they actually got the whole suck, swallow, breathe rhythm going, and they weren't like choking on the milk. I would like just put them right next to each other and then just hold the bottles together. With breastfeeding, I also fed them separately for the first couple weeks, and then I started doing it tandem. Okay, this one says, my son is 1 year, 2 months, and his weight is a bit low. Any advice on that? So there's a lot of factors that go into why his weight is low. My babies always were on the lower weight. Okay, can you not touch the camera? That's that. We're on the lower end of the spectrum because they were preemies, and they compare them to My babies were always on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to weight because they were preemies, so that was kind of a normal thing for me. As long as they're hitting their milestones at a normal, appropriate time, I wouldn't really worry about it. I know it's easy to say not to worry about it. That's kind of why I don't stop bottle feeding my kids at night, even at the age that they are right now, 19 months, because they are a little bit on the lower spectrum of their weight, yeah. I would just talk to your pediatrician and see if there's anything you can do. Most times it's literally not your fault. You can't do anything about it, and they're just going at their own pace, and that's it. Next question. Tips and tricks to get as much sleep as possible with newborn twins. Put them on a schedule. If you're feeding one, feed the other one at the same time. If one of them wakes up but the other doesn't, wake the other one up and feed them at the same time as much as possible. That way they're not waking up at all these random different times, and you keep waking up every 45 minutes for them, plus pumping. If you are pumping, you will literally never get sleep. Like, a schedule is so important with twins. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Another delivery question. Is Kane and Grace natural babies or IVF? I will probably do a whole separate video on that too. We did take a while to get pregnant, and yeah, I'll just share that story in another video with you guys. Lots of house tours in here. I will try. My house is always kind of a mess. Like, I will clean one room, but the other is a complete disaster. So the whole house would have to be clean, or at least semi-clean, or whatever. I'm sure you guys won't even care if it's dirty. Did your kids get COVID shots yet? No. Do you ever get upset and frustrated with the twins? If so, how do you deal with it? I do. Obviously, we're human. We have feelings and emotions and limits and boundaries that can be pushed. If there is literally nothing I can do to make them stop crying or throwing a tantrum or whatever it is, if I, you know, changed them and fed them and made sure they got their favorite toys, or, you know, make sure they're not fighting. Anyways, if they're just literally screaming and acting up for no reason, like I can't find a reason, I will just walk away and just kind of ignore it, because if I keep trying, I will get frustrated that nothing is working, and then I'll just get pissed. So I try to avoid those situations, and like I'll try a couple things. If it's not working, I'll just walk away and let them like calm down. When they were little and they would both scream at the same time, and I just didn't know what they wanted anymore, and again I tried everything I could, and they were still screaming, I would just make sure they're in a safe spot and just walk out of the room to another room for like 2 minutes, and then just sit there in silence. It was usually the garage. I'd walk out into the garage. It's kind of like quiet in there and blocks out most of the indoor noise, and I would just sit there for like 2 minutes and just calm myself and just count and just like try to relax, and then I would walk in and try again, and then if it didn't work, I'd do it again, and then kind of do that until we were able to figure out a reason for their crying and figure it out calmly without getting out of control. I feel like they kind of teach you that at the hospital with like purple crying. Which age stage was the hardest with twins? And then what was easier, harder than you thought? Oh my goodness, this is a very long answer for this one. I'm just gonna say 5 months was the hardest for us. The newborn stage, like the 5-month mark, was literally so hard, like so hard. Like I would never in my life want to relive it again, ever. And then after they turned 1, so it's actually very recently, I felt like 15 to like 16 months was really rough too. We finally kind of got out of it the last 4 or 5 weeks, so it's been like okay, like decent, but that time was really rough too, with like separation anxiety, and they just want to be held at the same time, but they're not newborns anymore. They are heavy, and you can't get anything done, and you get really frustrated because you don't feel productive. Okay, so the camera turned off, but what was the freaking question? Oh, do a full day in the life. I will try. It is a really big pain to edit. A really big pain. It literally takes me a couple days to edit after I put them down, a couple hours a day, especially a full day. I get like close to 3 hours of footage probably. So I will try to do one. I feel like I kind of did one just now recently, but it was just one day and it was mainly centered around like the appointment they had. Your experience in breastfeeding twins or with formula, I will do a separate video on that like I mentioned. Oh, what are their current weight? Because I saw you so strong, pick them up. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, they are actually way lighter than the babies their like average age. Last we checked they were 19 pounds and that was 3 months ago. I haven't weighed them since. I would think they're around 23 pounds now. I'm not sure, but I know for a lot of people like their babies weigh this like at 8 or 9 months. And that's why it may seem like I'm strong and I can pick them both up, but that's actually because they're pretty lightweight. Did you sleep train twins? No, I did not sleep train the twins. That's probably why they sleep the way they sleep. And what were their birth weight? How long did it take to double it from another twin mom? So this little boy was 2 pounds and 15 ounces when you were born. Yeah, 2 pounds and 15 ounces. You were this tiny, like legit, he was this tiny. And then she was 3 pounds and 10 ounces, so she almost had a full pound on him, but he caught up by the end of the NICU stay, which was 34 days. They were like 3 ounces apart. They were like 5'2" and like 5'5", something like that. In October they were 7 pounds, so they were a little bit over double. So I believe it took him about 2 months or so to double their weight. Anyways, these will be all the questions for today. These guys are just not having it anymore, staying confined in one room, and I feel like I answered quite a bit of them, so I don't want this video to be extremely long. I will answer some more questions some other time whenever I have the time to make another Q&A video. I'll ask you guys on Instagram if you guys have any other questions as well that I haven't covered. You guys can also comment on this video if you have other questions as well. Hopefully this kind of answered any concerns or questions that you guys might have had, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching if you watched the whole thing. Yeah, because say bye. Say bye. Say bye, everybody. Are you gonna say bye? Wait, bye. Пока. Пока. Okay, she doesn't want to wave bye, so I'll wave for her. Bye. Thank you guys for watching. He hasn't stopped waving. Bye, guys.